I remember a time when Elon Musk was ridiculously being hailed as the real-life Tony Stark, the man who could electrify the automotive industry, who could colonize space like no one ever has. Then he bought Twitter. Since the day he filmed that video of himself rocking up at Twitter HQ carrying a sink as part of a joke that he just couldn't land, the social media platform and its new owner have been sinking to new lows. The company has lost nearly 80% of its value since Musk purchased it. But what might be even worse is that his takeover of Twitter has also given us new insights into the mind of Elon Musk. Since he became the supreme leader or chief twit of the social media platform Twitter, although still functioning, is almost unrecognizable. And I'm not just talking about the ridiculous name change. I still call it Twitter. From bringing back formerly suspended accounts like that of former President Donald Trump and a variety of white supremacists and card-carrying anti-Semites, to then suspending accounts of journalists for things like tracking the location of his jet using public sources. One thing is clear about Elon Musk. He is not the hero in this story, but he thinks he is. You see, the more Musk tweets, the more people realize how super right-wing his views are. That, mixed with his God complex and a seemingly infinite source of money, gives you headlines like this one, and this one, and this one. Musk's shift to the right has paired him with all the wrong people, namely the owner of another social media platform that surprisingly is worse and even more biased than X. I'm of course talking about Truth Social and its founder Donald Trump, which brings us back to present-day Musk, who was not only seen jumping up and down like a cheerleader without pom-poms at a Trump rally this past week, but also saying weird stuff like this.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
So what changed? What switch was flipped to bring us an image of Elon Musk dancing around Donald Trump at a MAGA rally? To my mind, I think Musk is spending too much time on the website he owns. Seriously. According to a study last year, the platform with the largest ratio of discoverability of disinformation, meaning the proportion of sensitive content made up of disinformation, was Twitter. And nearly a year later, the Rolling Stone magazine in August described Musk by saying it's clear he doesn't feel constrained by reality, which is no doubt what made him into the mogul of misinformation he is today. So it is clear there is more to Musk than meets the eye, the tweet, the car, or the rocket. To find out what that is, I'm joined by two people who have literally written the book on Elon Musk and his acquisition of Twitter. Yes, I still refuse to call it X. Ryan Mack and Kate Conger are the authors of the new book, Character Limit, which takes a deep dive into Musk's journey with the platform from shaky beginnings to disastrous middles. Thank you both for joining me. Congratulations on the book. Must be very hard writing a book about a man like Elon Musk. Never know where to end the damn thing. Ryan, let me start with you. We're watching Elon Musk, I think, many people think, meltdown in public on a kind of day-to-day basis. He embarrasses himself all the time. So just make the case to our viewers. Why should they read your book? What are they going to find out about this narcissistic, thin-skinned, conspiratorial billionaire that they see making a fool of himself daily and that they didn't already know?
You know, well, we see this outcome, essentially, this man who is now tweeting sometimes more than 75 times a day, who is fixated on Donald Trump, on conspiracy theories about immigration and Democrats importing voters, is what he believes. But if you want to know how he got there, that's what our book is for. You know, he went from someone who was very meek on Twitter when he first joined. He didn't know if this was the place for him. He thought about quitting at one point. And he used to do very normal tweets about going to the ice rink with his children or hanging with Kanye West. You know, maybe that's not as normal as what me and you would tweet. But, you know, he's gone down this path of radicalization on the platform to the point where it is, you know, his favorite playground and the place he spends the most time.
When you say he's gone down the radicalization on this platform, Ryan, is it your case, because it's my case, I'm wondering if the book makes the case, that the platform is what has radicalized him?
I mean, yeah, in part. I mean, we also don't know the other factors in his life. There were personal factors with regards to COVID, and what happened with his businesses during the lockdowns in California. He went through personal stuff with his daughter, who was trans, and you know, and he's kind of created this amorphous enemy in his mind of wokeism, and so that's been going on, you know, in conjunction with what he reads online on places like X, and that's all. Those are all contributing factors.
The woke mind virus. Kate, one of my favorite stories in the book is, I will come to the politics of Musk and, some of the bigger picture issues, but just him as a person and what a weirdo he is. One of my favorite stories in the book is you tell that Musk leaves the Super Bowl early because he sees that US President Joe Biden is getting more views on a tweet about the Super Bowl than his tweet about the Super Bowl. And you say at the end of that story, the billionaire had finally built his very own echo chamber. Just briefly tell that story to our viewers. What did he do that day?
So he had tweeted something pretty anodyne about the Super Bowl, like "Go Eagles," and President Biden had tweeted a similar post a couple hours earlier, and he was getting really upset because he has more followers than Biden. His account has more reach on the platform, but Biden's post was still getting more engagement. So he ended up leaving the game, going back to San Francisco and calling an emergency meeting in the offices and asking people to come in and workshop this problem of why his post wasn't getting more engagement than the president's. He called up engineers who had been laid off from the company and asked them to come back to work and offered them significant amounts of money to do so, just to try to figure out what was going on. And then, later when X open sourced its code and released some parts of its algorithm to the public, people read through that and found there was a little tag in the code for when Elon published a tweet to kind of give him a little extra juice on the platform.
Oh, and just tell me this, Kate. When he does this stuff, holds an emergency meeting in the middle of the night about a Super Bowl tweet, is he just surrounded by sycophants? Do all the engineers and employees at Twitter just say, "Yes, sir, yes, sir. Well, yeah, you need to have better tweets, better juice"?
I think some people do, and I think others just are sort of cowed by his bombastic behavior and feel like they need to go along with whatever the directive is and prove themselves to him in order to, protect their jobs. There's a lot of workers there who are reliant on the company for health insurance, for visas to live in the United States. And so, it is a very fearful environment around him as well.
So, Ryan, we've got this news this week of Musk backing down in Brazil and complying with the government's requests to censor accounts they said violated Brazilian federal laws. He had said that was a red line. He was never going to bow down. He did multiple tweets attacking the judge. And yet, as ever, he rolls over for the foreign government. How much of his persona is just BS? That he says, I'm this free speech champion. I'm going to stand up to the government if it's the United States government, if it's the Biden administration. But when it comes to Turkey or India or Brazil or I don't know what else, China, he does tend to just follow the rules and do as he's told, does he not, to make his money?
There's a lot of bluster in what he says, and that's just not what happens on with regards to X. We think about some of the predictions he's made at SpaceX and Tesla, for example, and a lot of that has never come to fruition. He's built up this kind of mythos around himself and this legend. He sold people on, getting to Mars by a specific date or releasing full self-driving by another date.
Yes.
And that kind of pattern is playing out with X. He's a great salesman of his mission. I'm the free speech advocate. I'm going to stand up for free speech around the world. And he had dozens of tweets against this judge in Brazil, Moraes. But since then, since X has basically folded, there's been very little from him. He's not said very much. And
Well, he doesn't want people to know that he folded, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Kate, your book goes into detail about Musk's handling of Twitter during Brazil's presidential elections as well. You guys write, Musk and his friends had decided to drastically reduce teams that labeled political disinformation. They fired some of the only people who knew how to operate tools that ferreted out misleading tweets about the elections. Some people would argue that Musk's actions helped contribute to Brazil's attempted insurrection last year. We are now approaching very fast the US presidential election, the first Elon Musk Twitter election. Last time around, he did not control the platform. The platform suspended Donald Trump in the wake of the insurrection, did a little bit of moderation. What is Donald Trump going to do what is Elon Musk going to do if Donald Trump loses? What's he going to do with Twitter? What is it going to look like on November the 6th, the morning after?
I think we've seen Musk really push the boundaries of what can be said online, in particular when calling into question the outcomes of elections that have been verified. And so I think that is a real risk that we'll see in the United States. Musk has already posted many things kind of promoting conspiracy theories about ways that the vote would be manipulated and swayed away from Trump. And so I think if we see Trump lose, Musk is going to be very vocal about that and advocating for the idea that the election has been stolen from Trump, which of course we know is a really dangerous narrative that played out already in the United States after his last failure to win the White House.
Ryan, I want to play you a clip from Musk's recent interview with Tucker Carlson, where they both laugh about the idea of killing Kamala Harris. Have a listen.
Which is like nobody's even bothering to try to kill Kamala because it's pointless. What do you achieve? Nothing.
No, it's totally
Just find
right.
another puppet.
Exactly. That's
It's no point in killing.
deep and true, though.
Nobody's trying to kill Joe Biden.
It's in,
It would be
bless you.
pointless.
Totally.
Aside from the fact that his laugh is as weird as Tucker Carlson's, and we have to ignore the fact that they're getting drinks while they laugh about killing Kamala Harris, does that surprise you, hearing that rhetoric from Musk, given how much you've studied him and followed him, seeing the point where he gets to, where he's chatting with Tucker Carlson about... I can't imagine Musk of 2012 making these jokes about Barack Obama.
I think that's exactly right. I don't think the Musk of a year ago would be making those same comments. But that being said, he's tweeted that already or posted that on X. I don't know
and then
what the
deleted
verb is
it
anymore.
and said it was a bad joke, but then repeats it on Carlson.
Right. And in his defense, he'll probably say this is also a joke, but he's become fixated on this idea. And those ideas are dangerous. You know, this is that's not just rhetoric anymore. And yeah, I mean, he's clearly fixated on it. And oftentimes he'll say things are jokes that he truly believes. It's his one defense. And that's what you're getting here.
And Trump supporters often say the same thing about Trump, although Trump is actually funnier than Elon Musk. Ryan, is there a comparison to be made between Trump and Musk? Are they similar figures now?
Yeah, in some ways. You know, they are surrounded by people that, you know, in some ways are sycophantic or tell them what they want to hear. You know, they often change their minds on public positions. And now they're kind of in this marriage together of necessity. You know, they see opportunity in one another, and yeah, we'll see how long this lasts. But there are many similarities between the two.
Even though, of course, they criticized each other in the past. Trump talked about him dropping to his knees. Musk said he was too old, but now they're all MAGA. Kate, when we see these clips of Musk saying this crazy stuff about Democrats, a lot of Democrats are saying, well, why does he have all these contracts? How does this guy have security clearance? Billions of dollars for SpaceX. You wrote this book about him. While writing the book, did you come to the conclusion that he's basically not just the richest man in the world, but through his kind of media empire now, social media empire, through the rockets and NASA and everything else, he's untouchable, he's bulletproof?
Yeah, one of the big questions that we try to answer in this book is how do you hold someone with this kind of wealth accountable? And it seems like Musk has really escaped from that orbit of accountability. We see him going up against the SEC, the FTC, you know, regulators in different states and around the world, frankly, and not being held to account. So it really does beg the question of how do you check some of this behavior? And I think, unfortunately, you know, the U.S. government has become quite dependent on SpaceX when it comes to launching things into space. They don't have a lot of other good alternatives, and so he sort of has a lock on the market for those contracts, even if, you know, the government might wish they had other options.
Ryan, I have a question for you that has been bothering me for a while, which is Musk tweets these fringe random people, right? People with very few followers, far-right folks, conspiracy theorists. Not just why does he do it? I mean, that's a longer discussion, but the short answer is, how does he find them? I'm just intrigued as to how does a guy with 200 million followers root out and find these freaks and then amplify them to 200 million people? How do they come on his radar? Does he have a team doing this for him? Is he going looking for the most extreme, weird egg accounts to promote? How does this happen? Do we know?
I mean, he's a guy that's extremely online. He reads almost everything. You know, in the book, we detail this funny thing. He used to have a Google alert on his own name. This was when he was leading two companies and extremely famous back in 2018. He still had a Google alert on his own name. And that's the energy he brings to Twitter. He reads all the replies. He follows the engagement. You know, he also has these circle of friends that send him tweets every now and then, or email him things that he thinks are funny or relevant.
We saw that. We saw that during the Twitter purchase when they went to court, when some of those texts came out of what were being sent to him by his right-wing friends.
Right.
Kate, talking of replies, you guys did not speak to Musk for this book, despite having sent him, I believe, more than 500 questions during the writing process. Do you think he's read it? Do you think he will read it? Has he attacked you yet?
I don't imagine that he will read it, but we did make many efforts to contact him, going, to him directly as well, to his legal team and to friends and family in his circle. I don't think that he is likely to read it. It seems like from his posts, he's more of an audiobook guy, so maybe he'll listen to the audiobook instead. He's responded to the book only in a single post on X. Someone posted a photo of the cover, and he responded with a couple of laughing emojis. So that's the only.
Is it the classic the classic diagonal laughy emojis that he loves to use on every post? Last question to you, Ryan. A lot of people will look at someone like Musk, like they look at Trump, and say, a bit of a buffoon, runs his mouth, says crazy things, believes conspiracy theories, acted like a weirdo on stage the other day with Trump. Ha ha ha, Elon Musk, Elon Musk. For me, like Trump, he's not just a buffoon, he's actually a dangerous figure. Did you get that sense right in the book, that he's actually a danger to our democracy?
I don't know if we discussed him in the terms of danger. He's an insanely powerful person, and that's why we thought he deserved
scrutiny. Are there checks on his power, though?
At this point, no. I mean, I think of something like in 2018 when he tweeted that he had funding secured for the Tesla deal. He wasn't as rich back then, but what happens in that whole situation? He gets away with a $20 million fine. And what is $20 million to someone who's now worth $250 billion? That's a parking ticket. That's a slap on the wrist. And you look at the lack of accountability from regulators, especially in the US, the tie-ins he has with the government. SpaceX has a virtual monopoly in getting things to space for the US government. He is now more powerful than ever, and I think he knows that.
What a depressing end to the interview, but I think everyone should read your book because we do need to know more about this guy. Ryan Mack, Kate Conger, authors of Character Limit. Thank you so much for taking time out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to Zeteo.com. Your support matters.